Hey everyone, been a few days. Hope everyone's doing well. Had a pretty busy week. Got older too, so there's that. But back wanting to look at. There's a couple verses, actually a portion of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 that I wanted to look at. Starting in verse 12 of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 says, "For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and all were made to drink of one spirit. For the body does not consist of one member but of many. If the foot should say, 'Because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less part of the body. And if an ear should say, 'Because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body,' that would not make it any less part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body." And then it goes on to give the analogy, the eye can't say to the hand, "I don't need you," so on and so forth. This is an important illustration here because, God is basically saying that the church is very much like a body. Each part of the body plays a distinct yet important role. And that's one thing. There's many people that shop around for the perfect church, and they try to find the perfect church where everything is exactly like they want it and everything caters toward them. And I mean that's all good and well. Yes, you want to have a good worship experience, but we also need to stop focusing so much specifically on trying to find the perfect church because, newsflash, there isn't one. And when I say there isn't a perfect church, I'm not saying that God's church isn't perfect. I'm saying that, there's not going to be a perfect body of a church that is absolutely perfect for meeting somebody's individual needs. And the part of that is, or the reason for that is that we are all imperfect. We are all sinners. We are all fallen, and uh, you know, we do not have a flawless nature, and so the church is broken, but it's perfect. Broken in the nature that we're all fallen, but perfect because we can be renewed and restored and healed through Christ's love and through Christ's grace and through the ultimate sacrifice that Christ made on the cross for us. And truly, I think too many people focus on this aspect of we need to be the perfect church because that tends to drive into a lot of church marketing and a lot of church advertising, and church becomes a corporate experience, which can oftentimes take away from what's important, which is coming together as imperfect people to worship and praise the one true perfect God. We're all broken people. We're all imperfect. We need to remember that. We need to remember that corporate worship together is healing for the soul because we come together and we understand and we love Christ together, remembering what he did for us so that we can gain eternity with him. God wants us to cast all our cares and all our pains and all our regrets on him. And so it's important that we stop focusing so much on, well, let's be perfect. Let's find the perfect church, and let's find the church where we're worshiping the perfect God. And if we look back at our verse, it talks about, the single member of the body. If everyone was a single member, where would the body be? That's so important because there are so many different facets and aspects that God needs within the church. We're not all going to have the same spiritual gifts. We're not all going to be the same in our talents and our abilities and our areas in which we seem to volunteer. You know, if you had every single church member who wanted to hand out communion on Sunday, but nobody to serve in children's ministry, or nobody to serve on the worship team, or so on and so forth, your service would be a lot different than it currently stands at, and it would make the worship experience a lot more difficult. Now, sure enough, you know, we would get through it, because when two or more are gathered in God's name, you know, He is there in our midst. But at the same time, you know, God has ordained different aspects of the church body to become together. He has perfectly put together these imperfect people in order to have a better worship experience. Because when these parts flow together well, as God ordains it to, we worship Him in a manner that is efficient and pleasing and accurate to what God wants from our lives and how God wants us to worship Him. Long-winded today, I'm sorry, but, you know, God, remember this. If there's anything you take away from this video, remember that we need to stop looking for the perfect church. Instead, we need to look for the imperfect people who are truly worshiping the perfect God.